Do you remember Good Times? The show that once made millions of families burst into laughter with its iconic lines? Yet for those who created it, those golden days often marked the beginning of their darkest years. One star vanished without a trace. A young talent was rejected by Hollywood, and another spent half a lifetime battling illness. Get ready, because the familiar faces from the Evans household will leave you stunned when you see them now and hear their full story.
Esther Roll as Florida Evans, The Price of Dignity. Esther Roll was born on November 8, 1920, in Pompano Beach, Florida. At 54, she portrayed Florida Evans, the strong, hard-working black mother whose character became a symbol of resilience for millions of American families. Yet to preserve that image, Esther paid with her own health and spirit. Throughout her career, she fought relentlessly for the fair representation of black women on screen. While others compromised, she confronted, and her outspoken stance often left her isolated within the industry. Still, she remained steadfast, shining in Summer of My German Soldier, which earned her an Emmy, followed by acclaimed films such as Driving Miss Daisy and Rosewood. The more success she achieved, the lonelier she became. The studio lights couldn't fill the emptiness of the small apartment she returned to after every shoot. Her 20-year marriage to Oscar Robinson ended quietly. With no children and no family by her side, she buried herself in work. In her later years, diabetes silently ravaged her body while her finances dwindled due to her demanding schedule and declining health. On November 17, 1998, Esther Roll passed away in California at the age of 78. Her body was laid to rest at Westview Cemetery. Her estimated net worth of $2 million could never compensate for the pain of a woman who carried two worlds on her shoulders.
John Amos as James Evans, Conflict Behind the Laughter. John Amos was born on December 27, 1939, in Newark, New Jersey. At 35, he played James Evans Sr., the strict, principled, yet deeply loving father whose portrayal became engraved in the hearts of audiences in the mid-1970s. It was the role that made him a household name, but also the beginning of years filled with conflict and pain behind the scenes. His rapid success brought him fame, but also put him at odds with the show's creative team, where he felt the image of black families was being distorted. Long-running disputes eventually forced him to leave the show in bitterness. Still, he rose again, channeling all his energy into Roots, where his portrayal of the adult Kunta Kinte brought him to new heights and earned him an Emmy nomination. Years later, his role as the father in Coming to America, 1988, rekindled audience affection. Yet loneliness lingered behind the laughter and the flash of cameras. Behind the smile on the red carpet was a heart burdened with loss. 3 failed marriages left him with scars that never healed. In his later years, he became embroiled in a public dispute with his own daughter. Emotional turmoil, coupled with chronic heart failure, slowly drained the life out of the once iron-willed man. On August 21, 2024, John Amos took his final breath in California at the age of 84. His net worth, around $3 million, could not buy back the peace he had lost, nor could it ever measure the true worth of what he left behind.
Jimmy Walker as Jay Evans, Trapped by a Catchphrase. Jimmy Walker was born on June 25, 1947, in Brooklyn, New York. At 27, he brought Jay Evans to life. His character's explosive catchphrase, "Dynamite," became a national phenomenon, propelling Walker to stardom. but it also trapped him in the shadow of his own creation for the rest of his life. Fame came too quickly, leaving Walker caught between the audience's laughter and the cold stares of his peers. Many critics accused him of oversimplifying the show's message, turning Black identity into a televised punchline. The tension on set strained his relationships with co-stars John Amos and Esther Rolle, leaving him feeling isolated within the very fictional family audiences adored. Afterward, Walker found solace on smaller stages, touring across America as a stand-up comedian. Supporting roles in Airplane, 1980, and Scrubs helped keep him visible, but the bright lights of Hollywood gradually faded. While his peers settled down, he chose solitude. In a 2012 talk show appearance, Walker stated bluntly that he wasn't born to be a father and never needed marriage. Loneliness became the price of freedom, and that freedom at times felt heavier than chains. Today, Jimmie Walker is 78 years old. He still performs on stage, taking his dynamite energy to small theaters where middle-aged audiences laugh more out of nostalgia than pure joy. His net worth, about $1 million, comes from comedy, commercials, and revisiting the laughter of the past, as if he's still living on the memories that made him.
Jeanette Dubois as Willona Woods. A hidden emptiness. Jeanette Dubois was born on August 5, 1932, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At 32, she brought to life Willona Woods, the witty, confident, and charming neighbor everyone loved. Beneath her humor, Dubois infused rare vitality and emotional depth. After leaving the small screen, Dubois sought to prove herself in many fields. She wrote and performed Movin' On Up, the theme song for the Jeffersons, which became a cultural anthem of pride and upward aspiration for African Americans. In the 1990s, she won 2 Emmy Awards for her voice work on the animated series The PJs. Yet behind the applause and bright lights was a quiet emptiness. Her marriage to Sajit Krishna Gupta ended young, leaving her with 4 children and the weight of financial responsibility. The death of her son, Raj Christo Gupta, from cancer at age 36, plunged her into depression. Her health declined, and she gradually withdrew from Hollywood life. On February 17, 2020, Jeanette Dubois passed away peacefully in her sleep at her home in Glendale, California, at the age of 77. The cause of death was reported as cardiac arrest. Her estimated net worth was around $2 million, modest for such an influential career, but for Dubois, art had always been worth far more than money.
Bernadette Stanis as Thelma Evans, The Weight of Expectation. Bernadette Stanis was born on December 22, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York. At 21, she portrayed Thelma Evans, the only daughter, who presented a fresh, graceful image of black women on American television. But behind that poise were years of private pain only she truly understood. Fame arrived early and consumed her beneath the weight of expectations. After Good Times ended, Stanis struggled to find her footing in Hollywood. Small roles weren't enough to keep her in the spotlight, but they opened a new path, writing. Her books, such as Situations 101, Relationships, became bestsellers, exploring themes of love, betrayal, and self-respect. Stanis's love life was turbulent. 4 marriages and 4 heartbreaks fell apart under the strain of fame and incompatibility. She once admitted that success made people fall in love with her image, not with who she truly was. Still, her 2 daughters, Dior and Brittany, became her source of strength through loneliness. Now, Bernadette Stanis is 72 years old. She lives peacefully in Atlanta with her children and grandchildren, occasionally appearing at women's conferences and television reunions. Her estimated net worth of $3 million is enough for her to live peacefully, far from the noise of fame.
Ralph Carter as Michael Evans, the forgotten child star. Ralph Carter was born on May 30, 1961, in New York City. When the 13-year-old boy stepped onto the screen as Michael Evans, audiences saw in his eyes intelligence, sensitivity, and hope, the very ideals every black family of that era longed for. Carter quickly became one of the most beloved young actors of his generation, but he was also among the first to pay the price of fame. After rising to stardom, Carter tried to escape the shadow of his wholesome teen image by returning to Broadway. In Raisin, 1973, he won the Drama Desk and Theatre World Awards and received a Tony nomination at just 13, a rare feat in American musical history. But the entertainment industry had little patience for former child stars. When Hollywood's doors closed, Carter chose a quieter path, dedicating himself to stage arts. Growing up too fast under the spotlight, Carter came to understand that fame isn't always a reward. He went through periods of crisis and obscurity, but his family kept him grounded. In 2025, Ralph Carter is 64 years old and still performs occasionally in small theater productions around New York. His net worth is estimated at around $1 million, enough to sustain his passion and provide for his family.
Janet Jackson as Penny Gordon Woods, The Power of Rebirth. Janet Jackson was born on May 16, 1966, in Gary, Indiana. When she played the abused little girl Penny in Good Times, she was only 11. Her innocent eyes contrasted sharply with the pain her character endured. That performance moved audiences to tears and set Janet on her own path, separating her from the towering shadow of the Jackson family. After leaving the show, Janet devoted herself entirely to music. From Control, 1986, to Rhythm Nation, 1814, she transformed her childhood pain into a powerful declaration of freedom and self-worth. Yet, behind the success were personal tragedies. The infamous 2004 Super Bowl incident led to public backlash, with radio stations banning her songs, forcing Janet to fight alone to survive Hollywood's cruelty. The tragedies didn't end there. The death of her brother Michael in 2009 pushed her into despair, but it also helped her rediscover the true purpose of her art, healing and remembrance. She made a triumphant return with the album Unbreakable 2015, and her Together Again tour became the most successful of her career. Janet still calls the stage the place where I can breathe. With over 100 million records sold, 5 Grammy Awards, and dozens of global records, she has secured her place as one of the greatest female artists in history. Now, Janet Jackson is 59 years old. Her estimated net worth exceeds $180 million, although she once said, "Wealth isn't money, it's being able to keep singing." Nearly half a century later, the little girl who played Penny has become a global symbol of strength, rebirth, and courage for generations to come.